saying about that. Mahmoud Abbas, the PLO chairman, has laid the blame squarely at Hamas's doorstep, and that's sort of interesting because Mahmoud Abbas, of course, is the head of the PLO. He's not known as somebody who's particularly pro-Israel, and he's saying that, in fact, Hamas had the opportunity to extend this ceasefire, but instead unloaded dozens of rockets at Israel, and that precipitated Israel to go in with these troops. Now, I should, of course, point out to you, as you know very well, that for the last 7 or 8 years, there have been literally thousands of rockets fired from Gaza into Israel. The Israelis had hoped in 2005, when they left Gaza, that that would be the end of terrorism from Gaza. In fact, as you know, more than several thousand rockets have been fired from Gaza into Israel, Ross.
But as you know, Hamas will say that it was needed when Israel pulled out of Gaza. It still kind of cordoned off the area. It would not allow a lot of supplies and needed aid into the Palestinian people, and they couldn't move within the Gaza as they like, and this was them striking out at Israel.
Yeah, Ross, you're absolutely right about that. I think Hamas certainly does make that claim that they the brother people of the Palestinians. So it is sort of interesting that for the most part Israel takes the blame for this, but in fact Egypt has also kept a siege mentality, the purpose of course being trying to topple Hamas, which is a government that nobody around the world seems to want to recognize, Ross.
Of course, we've got an airstrike going on right now, Israel toward Gaza. Do you see a ground war breaking out here as well?
Well, you know, Ross, I can tell you from some Israeli military sources, they're telling me that at the end of today, in other words, in the next couple of hours or so, they will have exhausted what they call their bank of targets. They've been conducting intelligence operations for the last 6 months or so to build a bank of military targets where they can attack Hamas training camps, Hamas weapons depots, and other Hamas infrastructure. At the end of today, they'll probably be finished with that. So that, of course, as you said, begs the question of whether there will be a ground incursion. I can tell you the Israelis have more or less cordoned off the area around Gaza, making it very difficult for journalists to get into there. But I can tell you from some sources on the ground there that Israel is building up its forces. I don't think at this point that Israel has enough forces to make a ground incursion. And it could be the Israelis are trying to bluff Hamas into accepting another ceasefire on Israel's terms, Ross.
David, any sense that Israel would reoccupy the Gaza?
Everyone in the Israeli government has been very clear that they pulled out of Gaza in 2005. They don't have any desire to return to Gaza at all. However, the fact that the Hamas continues to fire these rockets with impunity into Israel. In fact, just a few hours ago, an Israeli Arab, ironically, was killed in a rocket attack, as well as a few dozen Arabs were killed were injured in this rocket attack. So Hamas, of course, trying to attack Jewish people in Israel, and in this case, actually killing their own brothers. Most Israelis, though, bottom line, saying that they don't want to go into Gaza. They simply want to stop the rocket fire. If the rocket fire stops, Israel says it will stop as well.
Do you see Egypt intervening here again to try to get that peace accord back on track?
Egypt's an interesting case there. I think you make a good point there because Egypt, frankly, behind the scenes at least, has been supportive of the Israelis in this attempt to deal Hamas a blow, as it were. When Tzipi Livni, the Israeli foreign minister, met with President Mubarak in Egypt a few days ago, behind closed doors, Mr. Mubarak was actually in favor of this operation. Now, in public, the Egyptians have been saying that they're against the operation, that they condemn Israel's operation, but both the Egyptians and the Saudis very much see Hamas as a threat, not only to their own regimes in terms of the Muslim Brotherhoods and al-Qaeda figures that exist within their own regimes, but they also see the Iranians as taking very much a toehold and using Hamas as a way to gain a toehold in this region. Iran, of course, doesn't have great relations with the Saudis and with the other Sunni Arab leaderships. So I think this has to be seen in the larger context of the battle between the Sunni Arab states and the Shiite non-Arab states, Iran in particular, Ross.
All right, David, thank you for talking with us this morning, and be safe. 18 minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's go back to the desk.
Okay, Ross, thank you.